Okay, it's going well. Thank you so much for clicking on the video to watch. So, we're going to go to the next section. One of the greatest deceptions of all time, Disney. Intro. For years, I have heard many Americans say that something is terribly wrong with this country and that things are going to pot. And yet, Americans can't put their finger on exactly what is wrong. When I first began to receive reports from victims of Illuminati mind control about Disney's involvement in their mind control, I kept an open ear, but I wanted some tangible proof. After investigating for myself, there is now no doubt in my mind that Disney, the man, the movies, the entertainment parks, has been a major contributor to the demise of America while maintaining a very well constructed front of wholesomeness. In this chapter, you will learn why Disney is one of the best deceptions of the Illuminati. This author has read a good portion of what is available to the public concerning Disney. This expose is undoubtedly the deepest on Disney that has ever been done. Perhaps part of my motivation is that I've tired of Christians talking and acting like Disney stands for sainthood. Christians who should have known better are some of the ones who have swallowed hook, line, and sinker the enormous deception that entails Disney. They feed their children a steady diet of occultism and witchcraft because they have been programmed to think of Disney as wholesomeness and everything that is good about America. Many writers over the years have tried to expose Disney. Most have been stopped before they could get their books published. The few authors who have managed have faced vicious attacks on their character and integrity, and have faced enormous struggles against public relations campaigns paid for by the Disneys. The Disney's power and the power behind them has frightened most people away from challenging them. But someone needs to speak on behalf of the victims. Whether anyone listens or not, the victims will know that somebody cared enough to stand up and write the truth. Disney has not only left mind control victims in its wake, but they have harassed landowners, stolen employees' data, and left all kinds of hurting victims in their path. Disney has risen to become the unquestionable largest media entertainment conglomerate in the world and was ranked company number 48 in the top 500 companies by Forbes 500. Observations about how the Illuminati like to hide behind perfect fronts. There are numerous Illuminati homes, restaurants, wineries, and other institutions that are today carrying out the same type of strict standards upon their employees that Walt Disney Studios maintained. While Hollywood was immersed in moral filth from the start, Walt Disney Studios has strict standards. In the 1930s, Disney had a dress code that required men in ties and women in sober colored shirts. If a man looked lecherously at a woman at Walt Disney Studios, he risked being instantly fired. Walt was a shining example of the strictest legalism. Even during the 50s, if an employee were caught saying anything considered a cuss word, such as hell, they were instantly fired no matter who they were. Walt would not allow his male employees to have any facial hair, even though he himself sported a mustache. He never allowed employees to have alcohol at the studios, which might not be a noteworthy standard except that Walt himself drank heavy amounts of alcohol in his private office at work for decades. Initially, Walt was very reluctant to have his young artists, who were being trained by Don Graham, draw live nude models, but reluctantly gave approval. Again, the motive was not to serve God, but to make sure the Disney reputation remained untarnished. With the power of the establishment media behind Disney, Walt had nothing to worry about. News about the new drawing classes and their detailed drawings never reached the light of day. Behind such strict fronts of legalistic morals, cleanliness, and soberness, you will often find lots of guilt and high-level satanic ritual. For instance, Hitler, who was, by the way, also a failed artist and who liked mechanical things more than people, obsessively washed his hands many times a day out of guilt, and so did Walt Disney. Walt obsessively washed his hands several times an hour, every hour. Walt liked animals and his trains more than people. This author has seen some authors who were forced to take other humans' life. Let me start that sentence over. This author has seen some authors who were forced to take another human's life, and when they relived the memory, the authors then tried to physically wash the blood guilt off their hands. Another example is that over the years, this author has discovered that many of the exclusive restaurants that are meticulous in every detail are tied in with the mind control and criminal activities of the elite. Dirty money is keeping the places looking sparkling clean. Walt Disney worked very hard at maintaining a great image for himself and his company. An example of this is how he exploded in range and wrote an angry memo. No, that's just wrong. Walt Disney worked hard at maintaining a great image for himself and his company. An example of this is how he exploded in rage and wrote an angry memo when a Disney character was placed in a beer ad. Memo mentioned in Thomas Bob, Walt Disney, an American Original. He had a personal image builder, Joe Reddy, who worked full-time to build Walt's image. Joe Reddy was a cigar-smoking Irishman who loved the Catholic College Notre Dame's football team. He was also a publicity agent for Shirley Temple. But the Disney deception entails far more than Joe Reddy's decades of image making and Walt's own abilities to create good images of himself. Just as with Billy Graham, the entire Illuminati threw their weight behind promoting Walt Disney. Ronald Reagan and Walt Disney were good friends and both cut from the same die in many ways. Both men were high-ranking Freemasons. Both came from socialist backgrounds. Ronald's mother was Eleanor Roosevelt's best friend, and Walt's dad was a socialist leader. Both were paid FBI informants, and both were involved heavily in the abuse of mind-controlled slaves. Walt also generously supported Reagan's political campaigns, and in turn, Reagan did political favors for Walt as governor of California. For instance, Disney's Mineral King Mountain Resort needed an access route through the Sequoia National Park at a time when there was lots of congressional pressure to preserve the last stands of redwoods. Governor Reagan got his friend Disney his road through the park. Reagan served as the MC for the opening day of Disneyland on July 17, 1990. He returned with the Illuminati TV host Art Linkletter for the 35th anniversary. Ronald Reagan and Art Linkletter both pumped Disney publicly. Another slave abuser that spent time with Disney was Bob Hope, who would spend time on the golf course with Walt. On the opening day's telecast, cameras showed Sammy Davis Jr., a member of the Church of Satan, and Frank Sinatra, a mind-controlled slave handler, driving the pint-sized Disney ears at the Autopia ride. When Disney celebrated its 50-year anniversary with a 2-hour special on May 20th, 1991, the program included people like occultist Bill Campbell and was named Best of Disney 50 Years of Magic. For the silver anniversary of Disney World in October 96, the Clintons were invited to help open 15 months of celebrations. The theme of the anniversary celebrations was Remember the Magic. A Boys and Girls Club sang When You Wish Upon a Star, a popular programming song. Hillary Rodham Clinton, herself Illuminati Grand Dame and a mind control programmer, shared with the audience that she and Bill first brought daughter Chelsea to Magic Kingdom when she was 4. Roy E. Disney, nephew of Walt, told the public that Disney is the story of men and women who took hold of a dream and never let go. There is a double meaning to that. Many victims of trauma-based mind control have taken hold of the illusions that were programmed into their minds secretly at Disney and never let go. Among the visitors to Disneyland have been all the American presidents from Eisenhower to Clinton, over a dozen kings and queens, as well as Emperor Akihito of Japan, Anwar Sadat, and Robert Kennedy, who rode the Matterhorn with astronaut John Glenn. Both Denmark's and Belgium's kings, who are in the Illuminati, visited, as well as the dictators of Indonesia, the Shah of Iran, and Kosovo of Romania. As a side note, Roy E. Disney was forewarned by Arab leaders that the Shah was to be deposed. Organizations that have been actively working for a new world order for many years gave big awards to Walt in his early years, such as the Benai Birth Man of the Year Award to Walt and the Chamber of Commerce. In 1936, Walt was given the Chamber of Commerce's annual Outstanding Young Man Award. The establishments, Yale and Harvard universities, gave him honorary degrees. Walt Disney biographer Leonard Mosley, who researched Walt for years, as well as writing books on the DuPonts, the Dulles brothers, and Hirohito, wrote in his book on Walt Disney, quotes, the studio, publicity machines in the film colony had, as usual, gone out of their way to try to persuade me, as a writer for a powerfully influential British newspaper, that this was a city of lawless gods and goddesses, full of clean living sanitized stars. He goes on, it was even more of a deodorized world at Walt Disney Studio, where the publicity men insisted their boss was faultless, never drank too much, never used a swear word, never lost his temper, never quarreled with his wife or family, never let down a friend, and woe betide anyone who tried to suggest otherwise. Members of the resident, foreign, and local press risked their jobs if they dared to write stories inferring that Walt Disney could be domineering, implacable, and unforgiving, as was the case, for instance, before, during, and after the 1941 studio strike. The Disney's flacks were capable of exerting heavy pressure on editors and proprietors, or through the advertising pages, against anyone who inferred Walt Disney was not the epitome of well-scrubbed and benevolent perfection. Disney is perhaps the epitome of Illuminati abilities to create images. They have created great images for things Disney, including Walt Disney, Disney movies, and Disney amusement parks. In some cases, these things have been overrated. In other instances, the sinister side to them has been carefully hidden. In order to make movies that contain the typical smut of Hollywood, sex, and violence, Disney did a sleight of hand and created subsidiaries which Disney runs, which has allowed them to keep their good image. They also never showed the public the hardcore porn that was made for years in secrecy for the elite. Behind Disney's good front lies hard porn, snuff films, white slavery, Illuminati mind control, and the seduction of several generations into witchcraft. Disney's involvement in these kinds of things will be explained in this chapter. Nobody has sold America witchcraft as well as the Disney brothers. Movie after movie has cleverly brought the occult into the warp and woof of American thought, all under the disguise of entertainment. For example, it was Disney that brought us cannibalism and told us that it was a triumph of the human spirit, a direct quote from Disney's touch-tone producer Robert Watts concerning Disney's movie Alive, featuring survivors of an airplane crash who turned to cannibalism. Under the disguise of entertainment and showing us how triumphant the human spirit was, they subtly promoted cannibalism. Mickey Mouse plays a leading role in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and yet when this author has suggested that Disney movies aren't wholesome, many Christian parents come unglued and have gotten angry with this author. The deceptive images that Disney movies are wholesome is a triumph in Illuminati deception. Parents will be surprised what is slipped in the cartoons. In Disney's The Little Mermaid, the castles are male sexual organs. In one cartoon, Mighty Mouse is shown without comment, clearly snorting cocaine. Walt Disney Studios chairman Joe Roth is in charge of Walt Disney as well as subsidiaries Touchstone, Miramax, and Hollywood Pictures, which were all created to camouflage the Disney production of adult films. Disney operates in a clandestine manner regarding the promotion, distribution, and rating of the films produced by their subsidiaries. Disney makes phalluses into castles. Roth oversaw Disney's subsidiary Hollywood Pictures. Let's start there. Roth saw Disney's subsidiary Hollywood Pictures Evita film. Evita has its main start Material Girl Madonna. Madonna is in reality a mind-controlled slave who has appeared in numerous underground porn and ritual porn movies. This author has an underground catalog from a porn business that has recently changed its location of business. The catalog offered a film of Madonna performing an actual blood sacrifice. She also was the main actress in Disney's Dick Tracy film, which is reported to be used for mind control. During an Arsenio Hall show, Madonna, who as a guest acted dissociative, was picked up by the cameras during the show kissing her Baphomet ring. Disney controls the products that are associated with the movies of their subsidiaries. In Evita's case, they are marketing hats and other items as just one more of Disney's countless artificially generated consumerism campaigns. In Ruth Stein's interview of Madonna, Madonna appeared bored with plugging Disney's consumer products. When asked about the tango dresses and hats inspired by Evita that popped up in stores after the film, Madonna said, "Believe me, I have nothing to do with it. Disney is pushing the whole thing." In one interview, Madonna states she wants her daughter to grow up knowing Catholicism, but she doesn't believe that it would be good for her daughter if Madonna married the father of her child from Lourdes, Carlos Leon. In another interview, Madonna says, "Actually, I'm a very good role model because I say, look, these are my standards." She then goes on to plug homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and single families in the interview. Walt Disney stated that it plans to release an album by Danzig, a heavy metal band whose songs contain dark themes. The Disney press released announcements on its byline, "Mickey Mouse is going heavy metal." Disney's album, Black Acid Devil, was due to hit the music stores October 30th, 1996 during Halloween time. According to Disney, this music has no satanic references, but does have dark, gothic, and sexual overtones. Glenn Danzig denies that he is a Satanist. So contents in the Disney Deception. These are the content section of chapter 5. There's an introduction, an overview. Who was Walt Disney? Who was Roy O. Disney? Who was Roy E. Disney? What do we know about in general? What do we know about them in general, maybe? A history of Disney. Disney and its mob connections. Disney and its government connections. Disney and mind control. Disney's script of how one Disney movie is used for programming. A detailed script. Partial list of sources. Okay, thank you so much for listening. We're going to get into to the next section in the contents in the Disney Deception. We're going to get into an overview. Again, I'm not going to talk too much. Thank you again. I'll be joining you for part 4.